Hi, I'm Sara Driscoll from IT Channel Oxygen. Welcome to the second episode of this special IT Channel Oxygen podcast with RVT. In the last episode, we talked about RVT's journey from tech trader to successful VAR. And today we're going to be discussing one of the firm's most beneficial partnerships with Samsung. I'd like to welcome Paul from Samsung, Ricky and Tom from RVT. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Ricky, we'll come to you first. Can you talk to me about your relationship with Samsung and how it kind of came about in the beginning?
When I joined 2.5 years ago, we already had advanced status with Samsung, and that's obviously down to the amazing work that obviously RVT had done up until that point. But like I said, there was a shift from a Samsung perspective where obviously there was wanting to be more focus on B2B business. So I was brought in to obviously nurture that relationship and obviously to create the B2B element of RVT. So yeah, it was. I was fortunate enough to have quite a running start, if I'm being brutally honest with you. And obviously with it being a sort of, we felt like a unique proposition into a lot of customers where, as I mentioned on the previous episode, that there just doesn't seem to be that level of focus from other resellers, at least from my perception anyway, that we found success very, very quickly. And with the likes of Paul and Adam Brown and Matt Brown, no relation, you probably want me to say that, is that, it was a real running start. And I really feel like that they've really embraced who we are as a company, and know who we are as a company, which I think is probably one of the most important elements here, because we pivot to our strong suit, and that is obviously that we can sell devices in mass when needed. But obviously now the main focus of the business is providing value and obviously devices into, not only B2B, but public sector. We've got a successful relationship with the NHS. We're doing quite a lot from an education standpoint at the minute too. So yeah, they've been a real sort of suit of armor for us going out there and trying to grow as a business as well as distribution. And I have to kind of shout them out because they have been more than supportive of us, and there's been some real key partnerships in there that have helped us kind of mould us into the VAR that we are today.
Yeah, of course. I mean, we love the disties. Paul, just to come to you. So, what have been some of the kind of key successes and strengths of the partnership between RVT and Samsung from a Samsung perspective?
Yeah, look, if I look back to 2 years ago, 2023, and I wasn't on the looking after the account then, but when I look at the story from where RVT were as an organisation and how that relationship with Samsung was starting to blossom a good couple of years ago, I think one of the key things, core foundations for me for the success that we've had over the last few years is around mindset, and it's around the energy and the focus about where Tom and Ricky and Tom's desire, particularly as CEO and co-founder, is to take that business to the next level. And we have that same mindset in Samsung. We have a mantra that we use and we live and breathe by: do what you can't. And that's exactly what we try to kind of use that same ethos with RVT. And if you think about, they didn't really sell any phones at all at the point where the business was, set up, and then the B2B division was built. So starting to sell smartphone devices, tablet devices, and then kind of getting that right and doing that really well, and then growing the portfolio in not just selling a device that an end customer wants, but actually taking value propositions to market. So you're talking about rugged smartphone and tablet. You're talking about different levels of smartphone in our premium S series or our A series, selling our enterprise edition B2B grade product as well. And then on top of that, our Knox solutions, which I know I'm going to talk about in a future podcast. So it's around working and being partners in evolution, but the ability to pivot and move quickly has been super important. And to Ricky's point, distribution play a huge part in that as well. So as a combination of the three parties all heading in the same direction, if I look at where the kind of devices that were being sold 2 years ago to today, it's right across the breadth of our portfolio.
Yeah.
From smartphone, tablet, we're selling PC, we're selling some wearables, and the value-added services around Knox. And putting it into perspective, in 2023, 4.7 million was the revenue between Samsung and RVT. We're going to be just shy of 9 million at the end of this year, which is an 83% growth in a
Wow.
2-year period, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And there aren't that, and by far the fastest growing B2B reseller and indirect. So, it's an amazing success story. The guys should be super proud, and I'm super proud, although I've only been looking after the guys this year, seeing the hunger, seeing the energy to be striving to be the absolute best and working with us to do that. It feels really, really good.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. It sounds like they've moved very much more towards a solution sell rather than a point product kind of sale. Ricky, just to come to you, can you talk me through the kind of support you've had from Samsung and how important that support has been to your growth?
Yeah, and that's what I think the key differentiator has been, is that, especially when you're proposing, let's say, a Samsung device against an Apple device or another incumbent brand that they've been using previously, it isn't necessarily just about the technology. It obviously is about the price point too. And Samsung have identified where there's situations and instances where they're just not competitive for a variety of different reasons. But we all know in this day and age that money talks, and I think that has kind of been where they've supported us the most, where we have given them access to maybe customers that they've not had access to before, where we've had put value proposition in front of a customer, a new device, a new idea, and they've supported us with seed devices through distribution, and obviously that has been what has kind of set us apart from maybe some of our competitors, where it's quite powerful to be able to have a conversation with a customer where they've got a particular challenge, let's say around a rugged device, and then suddenly come the next morning they've got an X-Cover 7 landed on their doorstep to do a proof of concept with, and that's with the support of people like I mentioned, Paul and Adam and the wider team that have enabled us to do that, as well as our amazing disties. So I think they have, without sounding too corny, they've kind of supported us from the ground up, and there's been so many different unique propositions with customers, because as we know, every customer's different.
Of course.
They've got different priorities. So it really has been, for a very large manufacturer, they've actually pivoted just as quickly as we have in certain situations, and I think that's what's been great.
Absolutely. Tom, just to come to you for a second, are there any highlights of the relationship that you want to talk about?
Well, look, I think there's been lots of highlights, even over a fairly short space of time in the 2 years that kind of Ricky and the B2B side have been on. But over the whole journey, there's been lots of highlights. But I think one of the things for me, I think we've been quite in quite a fortunate position as a reseller. And obviously, look, we've got a very good relationship with Samsung. And I think one of the things that Samsung like is when we say we're going to do something, we do it. We are in quite a fortunate position as a relatively new reseller, or certainly if you rewind a few years ago, we didn't have that many distractions. It's not lost on me that bigger resellers have got 1,000,001 different vendors that they've got that they're working with on various different projects, all of that kind of stuff. Samsung was our first vendor. And I think the highlight for me, and will always be the highlight for me, irrespective of where this business goes over the next 10, 20 years, is that they were the first vendor that said, Tom, do you want our badge? And it was such a, I think it was, at the time, without wanting to sound corny, it was genuinely quite an emotional thing, because Samsung is a brand that is known globally.
Yeah.
And for little old RVT to have Samsung saying, look, you can be our partner, was amazing for us. And I'll never forget that. And I think when you combine that with our ability to pivot and to not have 1,000,001 other distractions going on and do what we say we're going to do for Samsung realised, despite their size, that the guys at Samsung, they might work for a massive company, but that they're always available. We can always pick up the phone. We can always talk to them. And they saw that the opportunity was there with a reseller like RVT.
Yeah.
Because, we were the new kids on the block. And the partnership worked perfectly. It was almost like a perfect storm for want of a better word.
Sounds amazing. Match made in heaven. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. And next time, I know we're going to hear more about the Samsung Knox technology and how that's actually benefiting RVT customers. So thanks again for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.